Good morning, North America. Welcome to Church Talk TV. Lively talk about life, church, and church life. I'm your co-host, Dr. Bill Tenney-Britton, and I'm joined, as usual, by my co-host, Dr. Kris Tenney-Britton, and we're broadcasting from our studio in Columbia, Missouri, the heartland of America. Say good morning, Kris.
Well, good morning, and welcome to Church Talk TV.
Kris and Bill Tenney-Britton here today to talk about failing forward, which, by the way, is a book by John Maxwell, one of my very favorite ones of him. But we're talking about fail forward or fail. We're talking about a ministry post-mortem. You know, have you ever had a ministry that was going and maybe not going as good as you expected? That, you know, I think about Vacation Bible School all the time.
Yeah.
You know, churches invest a lot into Vacation Bible School, and if you actually evaluate the results, it's like maybe you get a baptism or two, almost never get a family joining the church, and et cetera. And so what do you do when ministries just aren't working like you'd like them to? So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Well, let's put that into context for a moment, and that is that your Vacation Bible School. And listen to what you said. Nobody gets baptized, maybe one or two. I don't know many Vacation Bible Schools, hardly any, that have baptisms that come out of Vacation Bible School, because that's not really within their thinking. I mean, really, I think Vacation Bible School is, did we make it till Friday? Did anybody come to the worship service on Sunday? Right. Did more kids come each day, or did the same number of kids? Like, did we lose half of them after day one? Right. And so, I mean, that's all. I mean, in some situations, I'll speak to me, when I was leading them, it would be something like, did my volunteers make it all the way through, and the like. So, I want us to think about that, and to say about failing forward, and that is, you may remember this, but we interviewed to be part of the Church Dream Team, Bill Easham's Church Dream Team. Now, 20 plus years ago.
A long time ago.
I still remember the interview question that we were asked: when was the time you failed? And I sat there and I thought, and you had a time that you that was right there for you. And the more I thought, I couldn't think of anything. And that was because I've never seen any like ministries or anything I've done as failure. They're learning opportunities.
Right.
And then you were able to say, oh yeah, right, that's exactly right. So I think a lot of what we're trying to say today is we can fail, and that means we've learned nothing. We can go and lick our wounds, we can go vent all over the place. We can go hide because we're embarrassed or feel shame. Yeah. Or we can go forward with that and say, what have we learned? So there it is.
And make a difference in it.
And make a difference.
Right? So
there's cleanup work
but here's the reality. I'm not a big Socrates and Plato fan overall, Aristotle, all those. It's like, yeah, whatever. But one thing that Socrates said that has always stuck with me, as if I heard it, right? When I'm sitting in his feet, reading something that Socrates supposedly said, is that the unexamined life is not worth living. And I got to tell you that the unexamined ministry is probably not worth continuing, because so often we see ministry after ministry not really accomplishing what someone had hoped for it. We've got Sunday school, and we really had planned on Sunday school making disciples. It didn't. It doesn't. Why? Well, part of it is because it's doing what we asked it to do, which was Christian education.
Right.
And so we went in with a wrong understanding of what the ministry was supposed to do. But so go ahead. Yeah.
I want to do a corrective there, at least from my perspective, and that is, it's not that we went in there with the wrong idea of what it was supposed to do or whatever. No, Sunday school is doing exactly what it was designed to do, Christian education. But you can't tell us that that's your discipleship program. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. And I disagree.
Okay.
Only in that, because I agree with you. At least originally Sunday school was really school on Sunday.
I'm with you there.
But in most cases that I've seen, is there was this understanding that by educating people, they would become followers and disciples of Jesus.
I'm with you there.
And so
that's right.
It didn't But that, again,
doesn't.
that's a faulty understanding. It's a modernity understanding.
Right.
That education changes lives. And education doesn't change lives.
Right. So I want to unpack that again, just for a moment or 2 or 10. Not really. And that is to say that Christian education, all right, and Sunday school, we'll say Sunday school has a place.
Absolutely.
Okay?
100%.
It has a place.
Education is critical.
But that if you're serious about discipling and discipleship, and please, oh Lordy, please, if you've watched us or followed us for any amount of time,
for 10 minutes,
you know that this is crucial and critical and right at the heart of everything, but really at the soul of
everything we do.
Of everything we do. So don't try to pass off your Sunday school or convince us that your Sunday school is your discipleship program. They're two different,
absolutely.
I don't want to say things, two different animals.
Programs, ministries.
Two different ministries.
With two different purposes
and outcomes.
Right.
And objectives.
So to be fair,
yes,
Christian education hasn't failed.
Right. That's what I'm trying to get to. Yes.
If you understand that Christian education is about educating.
Exactly. I'm with you.
If it's failing because, and this is a great, this is exactly what this episode's about. Right. If your hope was that Christian education was going to make disciples, and you look around and you see that people have been in your Christian education program, going to Sunday school for 50 years, and they're sitting in the pews on their blessed assurance doing nothing, and say, where's the disciples at?
Maybe volunteering at Vacation Bible School.
But it's like, they're like, what's wrong?
Right.
And this post-mortem will help you, what we're going to talk about, will help you go, oh, maybe Christian education is doing what it's supposed to do, and we've got to come up with something else, or we have to change our Christian education program to match the desires that we're trying to go. So let me start off.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me start off. The first thing is, really, we need to define what failure is. What is failure in a ministry? What is failure in a church? And I just want to say that I want to define that as this: any ministry that does not achieve its objectives is a failure. Now, here's the problem.
Go ahead, because I got some peace here too.
Here's the problem: most of the time, we launch a ministry and we don't know what the objectives are.
Exactly.
If someone had a good idea, let's have a food pantry. Good.
Yes.
What's the objectives? Well, I guess to feed the people. Well, you did that.
Okay, what?
Right, exactly.
What? How? Why?
Yeah,
why? The 5 whys.
Yeah, that's
okay,
right.
So yeah, but I want to really highlight that word objectives, and that it's plural. What we're talking about is the plural. What are the objectives? So let's say, well, our objective is to have Vacation Bible School. I don't know why I'm stuck on VBS today, but anyways, on vacation, because somebody just sent us an email and tried to sell us Vacation Bible School material.
So here's the reason you're stuck on it, is because
Be nice.
Because
be gentle.
what's the objective of Vacation Bible School? That the volunteers survive till the end of the week.
Right, exactly. Or that we have Vacation Bible School, but this is about what the outcomes are.
Right.
What the not just the output, because that's. Oh, do I even want to go here? I will just toss this out here, right? There's a difference between outcome and output. Right. And a lot of times what we do is just do output. We want this and we put it out. Put out there. We want them to do something, right? But now, what's the outcome? How are people being changed? What is that? And so those are objectives generally, right? So I could say, wow, we had such a successful Vacation Bible School.
We had 42 kids,
right? And that's what you'd say. Right. Well, what made it successful? Well, we did this, and we did. We had that, and we had the volunteers for it. Okay, was that your objectives?
Right. We babysat 42 kids,
right? And now we have to ask, so what?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are the outcomes? And so, any ministry that doesn't achieve the outcomes you hoped for, the objectives that you had planned on or expected, is a failure. Now, it only remains a failure, if you don't, as you pointed out, you don't learn from it, make adjustments so that you can begin, one of two things. Either saying, we're not doing that again, or saying, okay, we're going to adjust it. We're going to make adjustments so that we achieve our objectives, our outcomes.
Okay, so I want to say this because a lot of people hear this. Perhaps you're hearing the word failure and you are just hunkering in, and you're thinking about those times. Maybe you've even been called a failure along there.
Or accused yourself of it.
Right, I was just going to say that. Exactly. Oh, I'm such a failure. I hear that from teachers a lot. Ministers, I've heard that from as well. Anyway, so that you may be thinking that, but I'm thinking about pilots, like a jet pilot. And they're flying, and there's an engine failure. There's a board, I don't know, steering wheel failure. It's not that there was a
Don't
failure.
put her into the cockpit.
No desire.
Folks.
I trust y'all who are flying these things, but it's not that your pilot was a failure, or even that your pilot failed. It's that the instruments, what he was using, what he was relying on, failed. All right, so that's what I'm trying to get across is we have to get past thinking of ourselves as failures and worrying that others may be seeing us as failures and do a really good, thorough, objective look at our objectives.
That's right.
How's that?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
All right.
And what happened to make those. So we're going to talk about, ultimately we're going to talk about the post-mortem and how to learn from that. But before we get there, I want to talk about on the front end, how do you prevent failure?
Good.
And so I've got 4 things that I put in this list of how to prevent failures. And number 1 is starting off with, we'd already touched on this, having clarity about your objectives and your outcomes.
Here it is.
What is it that you want this ministry to achieve? What are the outcomes? What are the life changes? What do you want to see from it? And if you don't have that boom, 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 then how will you ever know whether you achieved it or not? And again, so often we say we're going to do this ministry because it sounds good or because it's a good thing. Right, great. But what are the objectives? What are the outcomes? What are we trying to achieve? So number 1, having clarity. And the key word there is clarity. It can't be fuzzy. What is it we are going to see more people get baptized. We are going to see an increase in attendance of visitors and visitors who turn into returning guests, or whatever it is. We're going to see people reading their Bibles more, or
right.
Whatever.
We're going to see people from this particular neighborhood, or
right.
that look like our, our Andy and Andrea.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
All right.
So,
So clarity of objectives, and then we need to make sure we have the right leader in place. And we've talked about this.
You got a pulse, so obviously you must be the right leader.
Nah, for that.
No, really. You'll make a great middle school, Sunday school teacher, a great youth minister. You have a pulse. It must be okay.
I've tried that.
Yeah, see that.
And we need to teach our people to say either I've tried that, or I've not tried that, or that's not my gift. Right. I mean, definitely.
Not my thing. I got no passion to hang out all day with middle school kids.
That's another episode, how to identify a right leader and have a conversation, a leadership conversation with them. But make sure you have the right person in place. Don't set them up. Right. Don't set yourself up, and please don't set them up.
Right.
Tragic and can definitely have kingdom consequences attached to it.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right.
Number 3 is the right resources. Do they have the resources they need? Often I see churches, they say we're going to do this and such, and when it comes to how much money they're throwing at it, how much energy they're throwing at it, how many people they're throwing at it, and et cetera, those are all secondary. Folks, if you don't have the right resources and the adequate resources, you can't succeed. So to prevent failure, make sure that all the resources are there. You have the right people, you have the number of people, you have the right amount of dollars, and et cetera, et cetera. Do you have the resources? Do they have the resources to be successful?
And make sure you have the right support. And I'm just thinking, as you're talking about right resources, and I toss out here right support, the need to have an episode on this, like how to support people and how to make sure that the resources are there, but especially about support. So how are you supporting that ministry, that I don't like the
ministry
word,
leader,
right? The ministry leader and your people there. How are you providing? I mean, part of the resources, providing the resources so they can go celebrate with their team, right? So how are you supporting them with training that they may need, with Yahoo, with attaboy, attagirls, with
and with how's it going?
Right.
In a quiet place is how, okay, I understand, how's it really going?
Well, this is why I want to do an episode on support, because that's setting up a time every week at a time that works for them, where you can sit down and not every, if you're doing Vacation Bible School, goodness knows it's got to be every day, but at least once a week, if not more often than that, for whatever it is that you're planning, that ministry is.
And really, as I say every week, it depends on what the ministry is.
Yeah.
Some places, some may not need every week. They may need once a month. But whatever it is, making sure they have the support, the encouragement, the shoulder, etc. Okay. So if you'll do those 4 things, you'll prevent a lot of the failures, because the bottom line is you'll know what you want. You'll have the right leader in the right place. They'll have the resources, and they'll have the support. They'll have everything they need to be successful, probably.
What?
Probably.
I just wanted to say this, as you were talking again, it comes to my mind. So many ministers and church leaders that we talk to will say, wow, we really need position descriptions. And
which is true.
It's absolutely true. You need to have them
for every team
right.
leader,
but,
every staff member.
But we need them for our ministries too,
That's what I'm saying.
to do
Absolutely.
those objectives.
Right.
I don't know, something just caught me. We've got to have all of those pieces written out so that when we're looking at people and all that, we're able to be really clear.
It's right there, number 3 on the next page.
Oh, goody! I knew it was coming. Yay!
Right. Okay,
all right,
so
go.
let's move into number 3 and my outline that's right in front of us. And
This is about our post-mortem. We're going to talk about post-mortems.
So what happens when you go, this ministry isn't working, or Vacation Bible School gets over and it crashed and burned, or whatever ministry that maybe isn't performing, you do a post-mortem. A post-mortem in real life is after something's dead. You can do a post-mortem on a ministry while it's still going, if it's an ongoing ministry.
A pre-mortem?
A pre-mortem, it's called a diagnosis or whatever. Anyway, so no, that's not what it is.
It's
whatever.
called a consultation.
Consultation. All right, here we go. So that I have 10 things, so we're going to run through these because these are the things you need to look at. But I will tell you that there's a downloadable list. You can get it below that you can download the post-mortem checklist that will walk you through a post-mortem. It'll help you. Ministry failure post-mortem is actually what it's called, and it'll help you do this. But number one question you want is, what were the outcomes that were planned versus the results that actually happened? Were there any outcomes? And again, a lot of times they're not. But if there were outcomes that were listed, if there were objectives out there, what were the actual results? Because you have to be objective. What really happened? Did we get some? Were we some success? Or was it a complete crash and burn and
You want to have the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful. Look at all of that. And a lot of times we hone in on what wasn't, and we leave out what was.
Right, exactly. All right.
So the awesome thing. So we want to evaluate our leadership, and again, always a difficult something to do. We often think, well, wow, if I evaluate the leadership of the ministry, then they're going to evaluate me. Yes, they might, and yes, they should. So yeah. So you look at your leader. Did you have the right leader in place? Were they somehow compromised? We're going to talk again about support, but did you give them the support that they need? What would I keep asking this question because I was just doing a post-mortem with somebody the other day, and it was, what would you do differently?
Right.
How would that work? And that's part of that outcomes versus results.
Right.
What were here and there, what was missing?
Right.
Go ahead. Do you want to say more?
Yeah. No. So when you were spot on. When you evaluate leadership, what went on, et cetera, and did we have the right leader? And this is not when you're doing postmortem. This is not a sit down with the leader and have that conversation. You can do that later.
Right.
This is you sit down with the form going Okay. So evaluate leadership. The next thing though, as you evaluate leadership, then you got to say, did I provide a position description? Did they know what I expected? Did they know what success looked like? Did they know what I wanted them to do? It said, by the way, the value of leadership also, by the way, were they a doer or a leader? Were they able to raise up a team? So, in the position description, did I say, I expected you to raise up a team, or I expect you to raise up a team to do this? The position description is a must for every ministry leader.
Yeah, definitely. And you can't do a leadership evaluation without it. And
Oh,
quite honestly,
well, it's not fair
right?
to do. I mean, we do all the time,
right,
but it's not fair.
But we can't. But really, you have to. You can't evaluate what you don't know what you're evaluating, right? Otherwise, it's just some figment in your imagination.
Well, right. It's what you had that you did not tell them.
Right.
I know what I expected, but unfortunately, most leaders, I checked. In fact, I've done a survey, and 10 out of 10 leaders can't read your mind.
Wow, you just haven't talked to the right one.
Apparently not.
I'm sure I know a
Apparently not.
parapsychologist in there somewhere.
Go ahead.
But I mean, really, and that's the truth. And so this is like with pastors, again, we're just talking to somebody not too long ago about having an evaluation. And it was, they can't evaluate you, though, they can only evaluate you on what your job, your position description is. So this is what we expect you to do. That's all they get to evaluate. And there are all different kinds of ways that can. Same thing here. If you don't have a position description, you haven't written something down, you can't evaluate your leadership.
Right. So we have clear expectations about the position description, and then there's clear expectations about the ministry.
Yeah.
Where are the ministries? Were there clear expectations, folks? You're talking to your leaders. Say, listen, here's what you're doing. This is what your position is, and here's our expectations of what we expect this ministry to accomplish. It goes up to number one. Do you have outcomes? Earlier, the clarity of objectives and outcomes. Mm-hmm. You need to have those written down, and that your leaders need to know what that is. They need to know what that is. All right, we're going on.
Oh, okay. So I was just going to jump up there to number 5. We actually are on number 5. Were measurable outcomes set? We've already talked about outcomes. Right. Were you able to measure them? I guess if
they're not measurable, you can't. They're not helpful.
We had Vacation Bible School. That was an outcome.
We
can measure it.
Yeah. And we didn't lose any of the teachers.
Okay, cool. We met our expectations.
Right, and that's all your expectations are. If that's all you
expect, yeah, exactly. Okay, 6, go for it.
All right, so 6 is, for those outcomes, were there SMART goals for each one? SMART goals: specific, measurable, aggressive, or, are they aggressive goals? Are they reasonable goals? Aggressive and reasonable, there's a balance there, but there's a tension there. And are they time bound? There's a time set on them. So SMART goals, where there's a SMART goal for every one of those outcomes. Okay, so here's the outcome, here's what we want. What's the goal there? And an outcome can be more ephemeral. Your SMART goals are very, very specific.
Okay, so did you provide training? And I have to tell you, again, my brain's in Vacation Bible School. I can't believe I'm stuck there, of all things, because we don't overtly recommend Vacation Bible School, so there it is. But just in case you're planning one, let's talk about this. Anyways, way back when Cokesbury bookstores, United Methodist Publishing House, Cokesbury, used to have bookstores in large cities, maybe some small ones, and in Atlanta, there were actually 3. And I remember coming into, I was a lay person, actually a baby Christian, and for those years after that, my pastor sent me to training that Cokesbury bookstore, one of them, would have. And so, they would unveil Vacation Bible School, and they would give you tips, and there were all kinds of trainings. It was awesome. I learned so much. Enough during that training with all of that, I stepped from a little tiny inner city church into a church that worshiped at over 800 average worship attendance as their youth and children director, all because of that kind of training. How are you training? How did you train? We're doing post-mortem here. Did you train? How did you train? I like those.
That's right.
How did you train them? Did you send them away? Did you sit with them? What were your expectations? Did you provide it?
Right. Yeah, and all of these are what were.
That's right.
Did I provide a position description? No. Well, okay. There may be one reason for failure.
No more conversation.
Did they have clear expectations of what I wanted for them? No. Well, okay. Were there measurable outcomes set? Yeah. Did they have SMART goals? No. There was a training provided. Well, I told them they had problems. They should get with me.
How did I train them? Those are how did I train them?
And then the number 8 is, did you provide the resources necessary? Did they have all the money they needed? Did they have all the volunteers they needed? Did they have were the resources provided so they could succeed? And again, if any one of these is no or it was inadequate, whatever, that's not a rock to throw at you. That's here's where we need to work better next time. We need to make sure that, okay, so Vacation Bible School, we allocated $150 and we ran out of cookies on day 3. Okay, so we need, next year we know we need to have $200 or whatever. Every one of these, if there's a failure, if we can identify a failure there, then we go, okay, let's make this less problem next time.
Well, I think a lot of us, when we hear post-mortem, we think somebody's died,
Right.
and we need to figure out if somebody killed them, right? I mean, isn't that a lot of the time why we do a post-mortem? But,
Right. Or how they killed them.
Or how they killed them, right.
We've been watching too many detective shows.
Anyways, but a post-mortem also says, okay, how treatment,
What can we learn?
What can we learn about that, right?
Right.
What might have changed, not as a blame thing, again, but to do that.
But let's be fair, when we do a postmortem, we're looking for blame. And that's not like you were the problem, but what happened? What happened that this happened?
Right, I prefer to call it the reason.
Right, I know that. I understand.
That's really where
but let's be real honest with what we're looking at. We're looking for where we put the blame.
He looks for blame. I look for reasons. Honestly, I really do.
I
Okay.
believe that. I
Okay.
believe that.
So
You're
here's.
rare.
No, I'm not. I am
Very.
out to change the world.
Yes, that's right.
For Jesus.
All right.
Okay, y'all. All right. Anyways, number 9 is coaching and support, and this is really.
Did you provide it?
Well, I'm coming to that. Give me a moment. Because, again, we keep asking these questions in a yes or a no. And this has got to go beyond that. And this is part of the postmortem thinking now that's in my brain, is that not just did you provide coaching and support, what kind of coaching and support did you offer? Because here's the deal. You may have, but it may not have worked for this situation, this setting, these leaders. And that's why we've really, this isn't just going through our heads a lot. Really, this is about taking a chart, going through it, looking through it. I've got a piece that I can share that will allow for that, that helps you to look at that, because it's saying, did the kind of coaching or the kind of support that we provided work for you, work in this situation?
All right, number 10, last one is, was accountability provided for throughout? Did we check to see whether the benchmarks were being met? Did we check to see whether the goals were being met? Was there the ongoing encouragement, but ongoing checking in? Are we moving forward? Are we on the path towards goals? Okay, when you have gone through all that,
10.
Okay, and if all is, yeah, we did that, yeah, we did that, yeah, we did that, yeah, we did that, you get to the end and go, then, and only then, do you look at the circumstances. And in the postmortem book that workbook that I have for you, there is a continuum that says where on this continuum is the problem? Was the problem? Was this the right time? Was it the right budget? Was it the right culture? Did we have the right target? All of those are circumstances that are, okay, we got to look at this and see, because sometimes a ministry fails because the culture wasn't ready for it. It had nothing to do with what we did, except maybe we needed to plan better. Oh, it was we planned our outing on the same day that the local college was having its graduation.
Oops.
We have this right now. There's a church that we know that has planned it. No, not church. Don't try this again. The school district planned the graduation on Mother's Day.
But I want to say this about that, okay? Because you've got a school and the church, one of the churches, and I don't know if others are, graduation's at 2 on Mother's Day, and the church is having a reception at 4:00. That would never, ever, ever work in Columbia.
Right.
But it's going to work in that setting.
Maybe. I'm not convinced.
They've done it before, and that's why it's there. And we've got a friend who lives there, and a son who will be going there for all of that. So but you're absolutely right. You've got to check your culture. There are ministry ideas that we've had that just didn't fly in one setting, but they were beyond amazing in the results in another setting.
Right, exactly.
Do not put out flamingos in Woodson County, Kansas.
Or in Keokuk, Iowa, We can remember that what the pastor there called us for advice and said, I'm thinking about starting a Saturday night service. And we said, not a good idea. Historically, Saturday night services are complete flops. The only people who come are your existing congregation. You might get one or two friends coming, but they don't. He launched it in Keokuk, Iowa with a full-blown newspaper ad that says there's nothing else going on in Keokuk, you might as well come here. And he had 300 people show up on the first, and most of them were not church people.
Right, and they were doing really cool things with the kids for families, and that was that was who he was trying to target.
So circumstances, the context may break you, or it may make you. So the whole point of the postmortem is say, is there something we've done that we messed up? And if so, let's fix it.
Right.
And if it's not, let's look at the external circumstances, and you look at them last. Because what we found is the vast majority of ministry failures happens at the leadership level because we didn't plan well, we didn't clarify, we didn't have defined outcomes, and so on.
And that's where we're going to lay the
blame.
I hate that. On the leaders for not having your goals and objectives. Don't set that aside, because you can't be a failure or a success if you don't have objectives.
You can't measure it. You can't tell whether you're a success or a failure.
That's right.
Either one.
So you can't talk in those terms.
That's right. Well, speaking of successful and failures, and we have succeeded to take up all the time.
So we have failed
to stop on time. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.